think I'm pretty good.
All right, here we are. Thanks for coming.
Of course, man.
So, you said, where were you coming from?
Fort Myers, Florida.
Fort Myers.
It's like 2 hours, 2.5 hours south of here.
Okay, and that happened in COVID.
Yeah, during COVID, like 2019 or so, I think the end of the year, I moved down there for like a job. It's also where I grew up.
Okay.
I moved up to Tampa in like 2014 or 15 when I was like, 20, 19,
Gotcha.
something like that. So I had 5 years, in the scene, and then I'm back to where I grew up.
So what did you move down there for?
I mean, for work, my living situation kind of deteriorated up here, and I was like broke, so I needed to get my shit together generally. So that was the best opportunity I had, and it sucks, but it's during COVID. You had to do whatever you could.
I mean, I love Tampa, but it's probably more cost effective to live in Fort Myers.
It's about the same, man.
Is it really?
Which is the worst part. I have a weird situation down there. I live in a trailer. I live in an RV.
Okay.
On my farm.
Yeah.
So I don't pay anything for anything really. I have a really low RV mortgage.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason I'm you can't really beat the fucking
Hey, that's fair.
cost of living on that.
Yeah.
It's dope, honestly.
Oh, I'm sure. No, I mean, living here, like what you pay is probably a steal compared to like a one-bedroom.
Well, I pay $300 a month, so
Yeah.
and I own the property, so it's dope. But over here the first year I moved here, man, I paid like me and Crazy Dave McNeil and his ex and like one other dude or something like that. We paid $900 altogether.
Oh, man.
For an apartment, and then just from there, every year it'd go up a few $100 until the last year I lived here was still $1,200 for a nice place.
1,200's like a good
But
deal
after
now.
post-COVID, my buddies are like paying $2,100 fucking dollars for shitholes. Like, it's crazy.
My girlfriend lived on Davis Island, like downtown.
Yeah.
In like a shitty, trashy, dirty apartment. And she was paying like mid-15s for her place, and it was like a one-bedroom with
It's
roaches and
crazy,
shit.
man. We're getting to a tipping point and it's not just here that's like that. It's fucking insane.
It's rough.
Yeah.
I was talking to a coworker today about like the average cost to own a home in Tampa.
Dude.
And like what the salary needed to own a home is like over $100,000.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the more, I finally got my shit together and make like okay money.
Yeah.
And it just feels like they raised the fucking game difficulty because everything just went more expensive. And now my friends who are still broke are like fucked. I mean, there's just nothing I feel for that situation. Like making $30,000 right now is insane.
Yeah, it's
you can't pay for anything.
Going through life on expert difficulty is what
Something
it seems
like that, man. We're hitting the hard hitting economic questions on this so far.
Yeah. All right, we'll get into music.
Dude, whatever you want to talk about.
Well, let's start off early. What were you listening to before hardcore, getting into hardcore? When was this?
I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I feel like people used to get into hardcore and shit earlier than they do now. Like, I feel like I meet people who are 20 now, and they're like, oh, yeah, I just found out about Marauder. I'm like, that's crazy.
That was me.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, that's cool. It's still cool. But I got into, like, the first actual hardcore bands, like, not deathcore shit, when I was, like, 13, 14. Like Terror. I saw, I've said it before, but I saw Terror play with the Acacia Strain.
Yeah.
And I loved the Acacia Strain from like 6th grade to 9th grade. Yeah. So I was like, holy fuck, like just seeing that many people on stage, you're like, it's hard to go back from that once you see the energy around like actual hardcore.
Yeah.
So yeah, like bands like Terror. And then at the same time, I was into metal first.
Same.
So stuff like Minor Threat to me, when I heard it, at first I was like, this is just stupid because it's like 30-second songs about not drinking. And I was like, when I was 13, my buddy Jamie, who played bass for Contention way later on, he was like an older friend of mine, put me on a Minor Threat. And I was like, this shit's crazy. I almost made fun of it at first.
Yeah.
And then I was like, this is almost more extreme than like some of the deathcore shit just because it was so out of my wheelhouse.
Right.
Of like 30 seconds, E standard tuning, like fast as fuck and like sloppy. So I don't know, around that time I just kind of figured out screamo shit at the same time. Yeah. So like 9th grade I really found out about all that stuff.
Yep. I'm in the same boat. I think I was like 19 and I heard of Incendiary.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, finally, because I've been listening to metal, and I was like, if somebody would just make metal without all the nonsense.
Yeah, dude, that's what hardcore is. It's just metal without the nonsense.
Yeah, I found Incendiary. I was like, ooh,
yeah.
What's that?
Yeah, there's a lot of like Nails and shit like that. I had friends who were into death metal. Like when I changed schools in like 8th grade, and all my friends were death metal nerds.
Yeah.
And that was cool. Like I had a friend who was like Lithuanian. He turned me on to like Death and Morbid Angel and shit like that. And he was into like the mellow Death and At the Gates and shit like. And after I found like Nails, I'm like, oh, this is like all of that shit, but like boiled down to the parts that I like, you know?
Right. Yeah, it's cool. Like different cultures and different countries are into it, and you wouldn't think so.
Yeah, for sure.
You talk to like Puerto Ricans and stuff, and like a lot of the older hardcore bands are Puerto Rican dudes.
Yeah, I've met some dudes from Puerto Rico, like on some bands on tour and stuff like that. Never got to play there, which I would love to do, but my girlfriend's Puerto Rican.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's one of those, like, I feel like people look at it and don't know, and they're like, oh, that's crazy white people music, and then you're like, no.
All over the world, man. I've said this to a bunch of people before, but our number one, obviously, is the U.S. Like, when you look at Spotify stats for Contention, number one is obviously the United States. Number two, fucking Indonesia.
Really?
Like, far and away, our second biggest
That's cool.
market, and get into fucking whatever you want to call it. But, yeah, like, we have a ton of fans in Indonesia. We have, like, licensed merch and shit there.
What?
It's crazy.
That's so
I don't know. It's awesome. I mean, that's one of the coolest parts about the band to me.
I've seen videos. I think Speed did like a little documentary when they were in like Southeast Asia.
I haven't seen that, but that sounds sick.
It's cool. It's cool, and you see like a culture that you never would have thought.
Yeah, dude. Like especially like I always knew growing up that like Southeast Asia and Japan and stuff like that were into grind. Like they love grind because I got into a lot of that stuff, like Magruder grind and shit like that, like the whatever false grind they call it. But those bands are huge over there,
right?
And they would all talk about it in interviews.
So you joined, was Contention, that wasn't your first band, right?
No, I've been in a lot. That was the first band that really did a whole lot. I mean, I was in a band called Control System right before that.
Okay.
They kind of overlapped a little bit. That was like, it sounds like Axis, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely like Axis Worship is what we were trying to do. And I was in a band called Stance before that. And that was like Foundation Worship.
Yeah.
And then a million other bands before that. Before I moved to Tampa, I've been in like emo bands and shit like that forever.
Yeah, that's the one thing I noticed with a lot of Tampa guys, like a fucking list of bands.
Yeah, I mean, you get lucky eventually, and people like one of them, you know.
Law of averages, you gotta hit.
That's true, dude. Yeah.
So, when did you find your voice? I've been wanting to ask you this question since the first time I listened to Contention. When was the first time you listened to your own voice and you were like, whoa, what the fuck?
Yeah, honestly, when I joined Contention, I did not know how to sing like that.
Really?
I hadn't figured it out yet. The first practice, they had to kind of like not goad me into joining, but I didn't really want to join at first. Like I had Control System going on, and I did more like low vocals on that. And Lucas is like, oh, I'm going to join this band with Josh Howell and Mitchell and Bailey, some dudes from the scene that we had been in bands that like played together but never been in a band together.
Right.
And he's like, you should come, and like they think they may want you on vocals. And I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I have the time. Like I'm working all the time. I have this other band, you know. And the whole way there, I'm like listening to. They had put some tracks together, and I was like, man, I don't know what I can't sing like the dude from Archangel or Kickback. I don't know what to do because that's what they want. That's like what would have sounded good over it. And then we got to practice. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, and like. So
they were giving you direction on like what they wanted.
I said, "Yo, what kind of vocals do you want?" And they're like, "Oh, like from the Dying Sky, or like Reprisal or like Sentence or something like that, Kickback." And I'm like, "Yeah, I can't. I'll try." So I think the first practice, like I had a mic that was just too quiet for anyone to hear, and I was like trying stuff out,
Yeah.
And it took me. I wanted to do like Pulling Teeth is like the only thing I could think of that I could do, like that sort of like snotty vocals. Mm-hmm. And it didn't sound that good. And then like 2 or 3 practices in, I just kind of figured it out. And it's just the benefit of like screaming when nobody can hear you. So
right.
Figure that shit out.
Was it one of those things where they heard your voice and they were like, big eyes, like, what the fuck?
Not even. I mean, maybe.
Were they surprised?
Yeah. I mean, they didn't know what to expect for sure. I mean, Josh had seen me play in like bands that were more like metal.
Yeah.
And shit before that. So, I don't know what they were expecting. They just kept saying like, I'm like, is what I'm doing like okay? And they're like, yeah, you'll figure it out. And I was like, okay. And then we got to the studio, and that was probably the first time, for a lot of bands, when you cut the demo, that's the first time you really hear the vocalist,
right.
Unless you're like really proactive and demoing shit out on phones, which we're not doing. So
right. So that's 2019.
Yeah, that's when the demo came out.
So what was the reception of that like? I mean,
nobody gave a shit.
So. Really?
Yeah, no. I mean, some our friends did. That's all we didn't have. This was it's kind of like a side project thing almost. Like Josh was still doing Point of Contact
Yep.
at the time, which was obviously like a pretty big band
course.
that took up a lot of time. And the rest of it, we were all in bands, other bands, I think, at that point. But, yeah, nobody really cared except for our friends, and that was fine. We were going to do local shows, and we were like, that'll be cool. We wanted to do, like, it was almost like we just wanted to have, like, a edge metal band.
Yeah.
Something that does, like, the European metalcore style.
Yeah.
But not, like, straight-up metalcore, like Poison the Well, obviously, more like edge metal, they call it.
Right.
But a dude from Europe hit us up, and none of us knew. I thought somebody must have known him. Nobody knew him. We figured that out later.
Oh, okay.
This dude Ollie, from the UK and from the Coming Strife Records,
Yeah.
and he was like, "Yo, you want me to put this out on tape?" We were like, "Yeah, sure." So he put it out on tape, and he was really into it. He's like, "This is great." And we're like, "Cool, dude. Whatever you're the only one to make an offer."
Right.
And he really. I like him a lot of credit because he was like, "Oh, you want to put out an EP?" And a year later, we were like, "Sure." And then that went crazy and sold out on vinyl, which we were like, "What the fuck, dude?" Because I guess people over there liked the demo, but we had no idea. We're not checking stats and shit, you know.
Okay.
So over in Europe, I don't know how many. I'm sure the American sales to European sales were like very skewed, but just by virtue of being on the Coming Strife, we sold like 300 or 400 copies in like a couple days. We were all like, is something fucking wrong? Like, is he goosing the numbers or some shit? Like, how the fuck did we sell that many?
Right.
So I guess we had a following just, mostly because of his label.
So it popped in Europe before.
Yeah. Which is crazy. But
That's
I guess
cool.
that's the style. I don't know. And it's the label, if we were on an American label, maybe no one would have ever given a shit and we wouldn't have done anything besides the demo. So.
Right. So I'm sure your first time touring Europe must have been.
Yeah, man. Mind blowing for sure.
Right.
I mean, even getting the offer, we were like, "Come on, dude!" Like, we went over it over and over again. And we're like, the numbers aren't going to work on this. Like, we're going to lose so much fucking money. No one's going to come to these shows, and that was not the case. We like went over there, and it was fucking dope, dude. We had like a lot of people at all the shows. Maybe one show bombed on like a Wednesday in the middle of nowhere in Germany, but almost every show is like awesome.
That's awesome.
And we saw like a lot of different, like very disparate scenes. Just. You can cover so many countries. We were there for like 14 days or something like that.
Right.
And we saw, 6, 7 countries, something like that.
Yeah.
They initially wanted the tour to be longer, and we were like, we got to work, dude. We can't be in Europe for 14 days. So
That's cool. That's like a fine example of side project,
that's how it goes.
and something you'd never expect.
Yeah, that's I don't even think I don't know if they would call it a side project. They might not like that, but like Point of Contact, for example, I don't think that was like secondary to Six Paths at the time.
What? No
And Point of
way.
Contact surpassed Six Paths, and Six Paths obviously came back later and did stuff. But I used to play shows with Six Paths with my band Stance that Lucas from Contention was the drummer for.
Yeah.
The Foundation worship type bands.
Yeah, I didn't
And-
even know Six Pass was that old until I found an old link.
Yeah, you would. The scene was so dead back then that it's not that nobody gave a shit about them. It's just that there was nobody to give a shit about them or us or any bands that were going on at that time.
That's what Josh said. He said Six Pass was like the biggest.
Yeah, there was nothing happening, dude. It sucked. People took it for granted for sure. I don't even know what the reasoning or what contributed to that, but
Yeah.
after COVID, we were all like, damn, there's a lot of people at these shows, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and now, like, Tampa's like an actual destination again. It comes and it's come and gone. Like, when I was younger, Tampa was hot, super hot, like
Right.
Blistered. Huge band from here. They moved around, I think, but at one point they were a Tampa band.
Yeah, I heard they played at Brass Mug, right?
Yeah, they played all over the place. I don't know if I ever saw them at Brass Mug. I saw them at the skate park.
Okay.
Transition spot, Epic Problem. It was
Yeah.
the skate park. There was like 4 different fucking names for it. But
Yeah. I wish I could have been around for that because last time I went to the skate park, the only like venue that they had was like a tiny little indoor stage.
yeah, that was like towards the end they were doing that. But in the beginning, they had a separate building in the back
Yeah.
that's now used by like the King State Coffee distributor as like storage or something like that.
Oh, what?
But at the time,
Okay.
that was the venue.
Okay.
People call it like Red Walls, but it was Spot Art
Yeah.
Gallery or like Epic Problem later on it was called.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was sick. I mean, there was awesome bands there, and it was all kinds of different bands like from the more like less hardcore, more whatever the fuck scene, like Adalia and stuff like that. Had like
Yeah.
crazy shows there, but also Foundation, dude. I saw Foundation's last tour there,
That's cool.
and it was crazy.
So I'm guessing that back then, since it was less popular, you're getting hardcore, but you're getting all kinds of other like.
Title Fight played there. Turnstile played there.
What?
Yeah,
That's so cool.
I mean, it was definitely a destination. And after that closed, I don't know if it's as a consequence, but the scene definitely took like a nosedive. There's
Yeah.
nobody starting bands. I mean, for whatever reason. And that's exactly when I moved up here. So there was like 3 or 4 years of just trying to do stuff, but nobody gave a shit.
Right. Yeah, that's rough. So, and you moved up here, you said 2014?
Something like that. It's maybe 2015.
Okay.
Yeah, obviously, like I said, I grew up in Fort Myers, so it's not like a huge move, but
Yeah, so did Florida have any scene back then? Was it like Miami, Orlando?
yeah, there was always. I mean, it's so big.
Yeah.
There's always something going on. I don't really know. I played terrible shows at that time in South Florida, but there was good stuff. You know,
Right.
sometimes there's 2 or 3 scenes just within hardcore in a city. You know what I mean? Tampa's the same way. Like there's not just one hardcore scene. There's like bands that are all like they have their own cliques. You know, that's just how it is.
Yeah.
More bands that are more like Knocked Loose type bands, and then
Yeah.
bands that are more like what we do. You know?
Yeah. I mean, that's the reason I like Tampa is because it's big enough to get variety, but it's small enough to where people are still know each other.
Yeah, yeah. Like shows now. There's so many people I see at every show, and the best part is I don't know all of them, which
Yeah.
is sick. Like seeing people come, like a group of kids show up, and I'm like, who the fuck are they? They drove here just for this, and I've never
Right.
seen them before, which is like the best sign of a healthy scene.
Yeah, the last show at Born Free, you guys played.
Okay, yeah.
That was a good example.
Magnitude? That one? Yeah.
Magnitude, Morning. I forgot who else
Sick
you
show.
guys. Steadfast, I think.
Yeah.
That was a great example because I think people came from Orlando and South Florida for that one.
Yeah, I don't know what other dates Magnitude has, but they draw. I mean, every
Yeah.
Magnitude show is great that I've ever seen them at.
Yeah, and that was, I mean, we didn't know it at the time, but that was like a nice farewell to that venue.
Yeah, they're. I don't know whatever happened with that. That's just how it goes.
Yeah.
And Josh said the same thing in his interview. It's just venues come and go. It's just unfortunately a part of hardcore is that just by nature of the music in the sense that like it's violent and people won't put up with it forever.
Yeah.
Venue owners, and it's not popular enough to keep places open. You can't keep a
No.
fucking venue open if you're only having hardcore shows. That's just
It doesn't generate enough revenue.
no, especially if you don't have a bar.
Yeah.
Or like it's if it's just a venue and like you're never gonna make enough money to stay open on that.
And I mean, tickets to get in there were $10.
Yeah, and you have to think we were just talking about rents and shit.
Yeah.
It's the same for businesses. I mean, it's insane.
Right.
I'm sure
Yeah.
that had something to do with that venue closing too. It's just who knows what they were paying on rents, but I'm sure it went up
Oh, I bet.
even for like a shitty little biker bar. Like
Yeah.
they'll get it whatever they can out of you. And if you don't pay the rent, they'll just put somebody else in there.
Oh, for sure. So you go demo, EP. What was the process like for the E EP?
Well, we were kind of like back and forth on whether to do it at all because it was COVID and we hadn't practiced, we hadn't seen each other in forever. We all still lived in Tampa at that time. I think Lucas moved somewhere around there to Gainesville first, something like that. So we practiced like a couple times, but we weren't seeing each other. I had COVID like 3 fucking times,
Oh, man.
which is whatever. I wasn't that sick, but we were all just working, and we were like, I guess shows are. I mean, what's the point of practicing and doing music if you can't play shows? I mean,
Right.
it's not like we're not like a studio band. Like we exist to play shows.
Yeah.
So if you can't play shows, it's like why would we bother even meeting up? So eventually we were like, all right, well, there started to be some shows again, or maybe we saw like a light at the end of the tunnel of, bands like, who was it, Madball or something that put a show on and everyone was like canceling them online or
I think
something
so.
like that.
Didn't
So we
they
were
do like
all
a
right.
short show outside?
Something like that. I
Yeah.
mean, it started to slowly come back and people were finally like, yeah, fuck it, we're going to do it. And like not enough people would yell at them that they got away with it, which is
Right.
sick. So we just started putting songs together. Josh and Lucas did a lot of the work on it. I mean, I don't think I was even around until I didn't even get involved until I think they already had like 3 songs written of that EP.
Okay.
And they sent me the tracks and I'm like, oh shit, these are awesome. Like we did like different style. Like if you listen to the 2.
Yeah.
So, I liked them even more. I loved the demo, but I wasn't like, I had very little to do with the writing process. I kind of just came into it. But the EP, I was much more like hands-on and not that I wrote anything, but besides the
Right.
lyrics, but I was much more into it at the time. I was like, God damn, these are really good songs. So, we put them together and recorded it, and we just happened to do it at the right time that shows came back, and the first show back was better than any of the shows we had played before that.
I was going to ask, do you remember the first show?
I think it was with Magnitude
Oh,
again.
okay.
Yeah, that might be wrong. I don't know, but it was a sick show, and every show we played after that, there was just exponentially more people.
Yeah.
So we were like, all right, this is now the most important project for all of us. Quickly became that.
Did you notice the vibe and the energy of the shows were better than before?
Yeah, people cared more.
Yeah.
people were going off, dude. I mean, I think about it, people couldn't do anything for a year and a half.
Yeah.
I mean, just like if you're into moshing, you're like, damn, that sucks. Like,
yeah.
just a part of what you're into. You can't do it for that amount of time. Like everyone in the whole room was moshing.
Yeah. That's so cool.
Awesome.
I wish I was in Tampa and going to shows like right when it lifted. Like,
yeah. How was Atlanta at that time?
the thing is, I went to rap shows in Atlanta. I didn't
Okay.
get into hardcore until
Yeah.
like right around the time that I moved. So I was going to rap shows, and I think that's actually how I accidentally discovered hardcore.
That's funny. But yeah, I mean, that's a lot of people these days.
Yeah, I was at like the Suicide Boys Grade A tour in like 2019 or
Yeah.
2018, but they brought Turnstile and Trash Talk.
Oh shit,
with
that's
them.
crazy. Yeah, I mean, I remember obviously Trash Talk had like that long.
Yeah.
I liked them a lot when I was first getting into hardcore in like
Yeah.
ninth grade and high school, like Plagues and shit. Like,
Yeah.
so when they got with it, like Odd Future and stuff, like
Yep.
I was like, that's crazy.
It was weird, but they went on that tour, and that was the first hardcore band I saw, and Lee just like did
Yeah.
some crazy shit that I had never seen anyone
Yeah,
do.
it draws you in for sure.
Jumped in the crowd and was like fucking nuts.
Yeah, I got my tooth broke by one of those guys.
Really?
Yeah, I think no, actually it was the dude from Odd Future. I saw like Trash Talk in the free show, and I was like 17,
What?
18, something like that. They did like a free tour, and the like Left Brain from Odd Future opened for them, and he did like a terrible stage dive and just knocked me in the teeth with his fucking shoes and broke a piece of my tooth off.
That's so cool. That's a good story.
It's a great show. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, so that was first hardcore show, and I still love that band, but like being at rap shows, the moshing isn't the same. Like
No.
rap kids don't know how to mosh.
They don't know what the fuck's going on. It's so funny, and you see it cross over. Like
Yeah.
you play shows where it's like, especially so South Florida is like a weird example because they have like, which is awesome that they have so many people getting into it, but half the crowd you can tell are new to hardcore in the sense that they
Yeah.
mosh fucking terribly.
Yep.
But then half the crowd are like ass beaters who like, have really good style and stuff like that. And it's just a funny mix whenever we play there.
Yeah, I saw it for the first time. I was watching. Do you know who City Morgue is?
No, I don't think so.
It's like a duo rap group, but it's like hardcore inspired.
Oh, okay.
They took Vane on tour
Oh,
with
okay.
them. But they didn't promote Vane on Instagram, so I went to the show thinking it was just City Morgue, and
Yeah.
Vane opened. I'm
Oh,
like,
that's-
what the
must be
fuck?
crazy,
I didn't
yeah.
even know. But that's a good example of like a rap crowd
Yeah.
listening to metal, and it was weird seeing the crowd
I'm
work,
sure.
but
I'm sure, yeah.
I feel like doing stuff like that is how hardcore gets bigger.
No, that's true, and it's part of the reason it has in recent years. I mean, there were so many years where nothing was going on, and that was, just hardcore so insular, and if you don't know about it, you don't know about it,
Right.
And like nobody's getting recruited. Like when I grew up, and even in Fort Myers, there was a scene, like
Really?
where I'm from,
Yeah.
middle of fucking nowhere. There was like that was just what people did at the time. I mean, there just wasn't anything to do there except for go to shows and do drugs or both
Yeah.
at the same time. So like the shows were always packed. The bands mostly sucked. They're mostly terrible, but it was just something to do. So like kids in my high school would go who like didn't give a shit about the bands because it was just something to do.
Yeah.
But like obviously some of them stuck around and whatever. But yeah, it's just it's things wax and wane like that.
Yeah. Just a way to get some energy out.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what the fuck kids do anywhere if you don't have like. I was so into music growing up that as soon as I found hardcore, I was like, oh, okay, this is something to occupy all of my time.
Yeah, I feel like all the kids that played sports were like over there, and then like the kids that skated
Yeah, that's true.
would come to shows.
Yeah, there's definitely like that's always been part of skate culture is kind of like crosses over.
Yeah. So your next record comes out, and is that when things got big?
Yeah. I mean, big, relatively for us, we didn't expect anybody
Yeah.
to give a shit. So the fact that anybody cared, the fact that we sold any records was like mind blowing. But yeah, that's Laying Waste was the EP we put out, and I mean, it's an EP, but
Yeah.
it came out in like 12-inch. So
Yeah.
some people are like, oh, your LP, and I'm like, what fucking LP you're talking about? But anyway. Yeah, no, that's definitely when we got offers and stuff like that. And obviously, like I said, none of us expected it. So, I mean, any cool, like the offer to go play Europe, like we didn't expect any of that. That was like always the goal for me with music. And I had to rethink my goals after we did that. I'm like, oh shit, I got to think of something else to do.
Right. So did you start touring heavy off that?
Yeah, I mean, not heavy, because we all have jobs.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we can only tour, so much, and it's less now than ever. just with like, you know, some of us have like families and stuff like that. So not me, like I don't have kids or anything. But
Josh has got a kid on the way.
yes, and so does Lucas has a child. So yeah, so obviously we can't tour like we used to. But even then, we never did more than like 10 days. And I would, you know, I would love to. I would have liked to back then. Now that I'm 28 years old, my spine is all fucked up from that car crash and stuff. I can't, you know, spending 15 days in a car, 30 days in a car. It's fucking rough.
Yeah, and
but,
you're in like a Ford Express van.
It's always a Ford Express or a Transit or whatever.
Like the 3 long benches.
Yeah. I mean, I love it, and I'll always make it work. But yes, it's the older you get, the harder it gets to do shit like that. Just with everything, not just your health, like with jobs and stuff like that. Still, I mean, if we got an offer and anybody could do it in the band, I would 100% still do 20 days if I could. Yeah. But you know, we gotta kind of parse our expectations and what's possible and stuff. But yeah, back then we were kind of we planned it all ourselves. Josh is really good at that. He's just like, all right, we're going on tour. And we're like, cool. He's like, I already booked it all. Cool.
Is he like I don't want to like discredit anyone, but is he the mastermind behind?
Yeah, he's like the band dad. You know, he's had more success than any of us in bands before. Yeah. Probably done it more than, you know, he did tours with Point of Contact. None of us did anything super crazy, but he definitely did more significant touring with like Point of Contact. He did tours with Magnitude and stuff like that. Yeah. So he knew what he was doing more than all of us. All of us had played shows like out of the state, but you know.
I feel like every band's got that one guy that's
it's not me.
Like the parent.
Yeah, almost. No, for sure. You gotta have somebody who's like a driving force. Because I've been if a band where there's nobody who takes that role, you're just not gonna get off the ground.
Yeah.
And I'm not that person. Like I'm just not he's like super decisive, and I'm not decisive. Like I'll go back and forth on how a mix sounds like 100 times, and he'll be like, "No, fuck it, we're putting this mix out."
That's cool. It's cool seeing the dynamic, completely different personalities.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we're all like, I mean, we all get along, but we're all definitely very different people with different goals and shit and different lifestyles.
Yeah. So you were touring off of that, and so have you guys like went all over the U.S. for that?
Not West Coast, which sucks. Yeah. I've never played West Coast. It's still a huge goal of mine. It's just every time we plan it, something happens, you know? Yeah. And I mean, some of the coolest scenes in the country over there. I would love to go to California. I mean, we have so many people like DM us and shit, and I feel bad. Really, more than anything else, I'm like, damn, sorry, dude. I really wish we could get over there. Right. And we will. I mean, I would still like to.
A lot of people talk shit about California, but a lot of great music comes out of California.
Yeah, I mean, everybody says it's like a terrible fucking place. Yeah. And it is. So I mean, so is Florida. It's just how it is.
Isn't that what makes good music?
Yeah. I mean, that's just America, dude. I mean, it's all a fucking dumpster fire.
Right now it is, for sure.
Yeah. But I mean, there's cool things about everywhere. California, I'd love to visit there. New York City is like a piece of shit, but I love going there.
Oh, yeah.
It's like going to like a wars, you know, it's going to like somewhere terrible to see what's going on there. I love it.
Yeah, and you've done shows there, right?
Never in New York City.
Okay.
And I don't want to diss people. Well, I do want to diss people from New York City, but
I'll let it rip.
I don't want to talk shit about their scene. I'm sure their scene is fine and all that. Just, you know, I'm from Florida. Yeah. It's like an insane place to think about living. I have a bunch of friends who moved there recently.
It's funny. Yeah, I got a bunch of, like, it's like a weird parallel because Florida is known for being crazy. And New York is known for being crazy, but not the same kind of crazy.
No, definitely. It's you can, if you live your whole life like my mom did, for example, in New York City. Yeah. You have nothing in common with somebody who lives anywhere else in the country. It's a different fucking world, a different realm. You just 100%. Which just doesn't make it bad or good or whatever. It's just a very different place. You don't have the same. I cannot relate to somebody who grew up in like an inner city.
Yeah. Well, also like look at all the amazing music that came out of that.
Dude, yeah. But I mean hardcore as we know it.
Hardcore wouldn't have existed. Yeah. Most likely without New York City.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I mean there would be no like metallic hardcore the way it is now. No, for sure.
No. Yeah, that's cool. So where was I? So when you were getting into hardcore, were you listening to like any of those New York bands, or were you listening to like regional stuff that was?
You know, I'm sure there was some New York stuff in there. I mean, I didn't get into like Madball and stuff until a little bit later. It wasn't like one of the first things that got me into that sort of stuff. I mean, it was kind of like all over the place, really. I mean, I've always been like super like eclectic in almost like a bad way. Like I'm all over the place with music I listen to. So I was finding out about like Orchid at the same time I was finding out about like terror. Like, it just made no sense.
Yeah.
But I got into just heavy, crazy, extreme music all at the same time.
So you were kind of I don't know what the right word is for it, but like, you know, people that just read ridiculous like quantities of books.
Yeah,
Are you
yeah.
that way with music?
Not these days, but back then for sure.
Yeah.
Now I get like fucking autistically fixated on the same few records, listen to them over and over and over again.
That's
and
how
like
I am.
I'm like, yeah, I want to check out this new shit, but like I really just want to put on Master Killer again. Like, that's how I am a lot of the time. Like, it's hard for me to like, I have to consciously be like, yeah, I gotta check out this band, but you know, when I'm in my car driving, I just want to put on heavy shit that I know all the words to.
It's funny you say that because when you go into Spotify, it has like your most recent
Yeah,
stuff. Under the Knife is always in that list for me.
Oh yeah, I can get that for sure. I listen to that, yeah, more than anything else from Hatebreed, but yeah.
Yeah, that's a funny thing you just reminded me of.
Yeah, I mean, if it's always the same few songs over and over and over again.
Yeah.
But and like not just hardcore too. Like if I'm driving home at night, I'm gonna listen to all of a Pink Floyd album.
Oh yeah,
it's just
it's just a vibe. So okay, then you move out of Tampa. So you moved right after, like right around the time that the last.
Yeah, we played 2 shows, and then I had a year of being inside,
Yeah.
and then I moved to Fort Myers,
Right.
and I got a cool job down there.
What do you do?
Like I don't know how to put it. I do a bunch of shit, really. I have a tree farm down there.
Okay.
So when my grandparents got older and my grandfather died, I bought their tree farm that I grew up working on, just a tiny little tree farm from them, so that my grandmother could, like, had money for her, you know, whatever.
Of course.
So I run that tree farm and I live there. So that's one thing I do. But I also, my main job is like medical, like the business side of medical stuff.
Oh, really?
I don't even want to get that into it because it's just so boring.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's
yeah.
obvious. It's like I love it so much. It's like the sickest job ever. And I do get to help people and shit sometimes, which is dope. But yeah, so that's what I'm doing. But it's like a consultancy job. So
Okay.
like I have a lot of time to do other stuff. But I figured out like late in life that my brain chemistry, I have to stay busy all the time, or else
Yeah.
I'll be crazy and angry and depressed and shit. So
Yep.
if I have downtime, I'm starting a business or I'm doing something else, you know?
Yeah, it's the reason I'm asking is because I'm one of those people that like went to college, did the career thing,
Yeah.
didn't like the career thing, did my own thing. Now I'm working a job that's like, it's not cutting it.
Yeah,
So any
I'll talk to you about that
ideas-
later. We'll talk about it off mic sometime.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude. I mean, I didn't go to. I failed out of college 11 times. You know, I tried it again and again and again, and figured out I'm like, I can't fucking do this. I had no idea what I was doing with my life in general.
Yeah.
Until I was 25, 26.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Whenever I tell people I go to college, I'm like, yeah, I got my degree, and then I leave out the fact that it's like an associate's degree at a technical school. And
Yeah.
it was like a year and a half.
Yeah.
They don't need to know that. It could be a master's degree.
It's worth your degrees are unless you want a really specific field you're going to go into.
Yeah.
It's worthless. You know, there's just really. I mean, it's good, pad your resume or whatever, but
Yeah. Yeah, and I actually didn't even get my degree. I got my job before I graduated, and then didn't finish my last class that
Yeah.
I needed, and I was like, fuck
there you
that
go. I
shit.
tried to go back to college like a year ago because my
Uh-huh.
job was going to pay for it. They're like, "Oh, we'll pay for you to do your degree." I'm like, "Dude, I'd be so stupid not to go finish a degree." So I did one day, and I was like, "Fuck this, dude.
Yep.
I can't do it. I'm just not cut out for it."
Same. My girlfriend, she got a bachelor's, and she's going back for another bachelor's, and I was looking at like the list just to see if maybe I'd want to go back for something.
Yeah.
And just reading the class names, I was
Just
like,
painful. Yeah. You're like,
this, I'm
God,
not going
dude.
back.
And like they make you take so much worthless shit that you're just sitting through it. Like, God
Yeah.
damn, I'm wasting my life right
Yeah.
now. And I
I'm
have
like-
so many friends with degrees who don't use it for anything.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was having that conversation today. A buddy of mine got his bachelor's, and he's managing a restaurant.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with his degree.
No, yeah, it just shows that you're like able to put 4 years into something. It's
Yeah.
like, I guess what it demonstrates to. I mean, I look at resumes all day long, and I don't really give a shit if people went to college or not. Honestly,
Yeah.
all I care about is work experience. Like if I'm hiring somebody for one of my businesses, so
Yeah, so that's cool. So the farm, what is that like? Does it bring you some kind of like sanity to be outside?
yeah,
doing
for
something?
sure. I mean, my other job is like in hospitals and doctor offices and stuff like that, and being in front of boardroom, like meeting rooms and conference rooms and shit like that. It's not miserable. I like doing it, but getting outside, like I spent my whole life doing labor and being
Yeah.
in kitchens and working with my hands and shit like that. So it's the first job I've ever had that's not like that. So yeah, I love being out there. Like I did before I came here. I was almost late to this shit because I was repotting orchids for like 6 hours. I just got up this morning and just repotted like 20 orchids.
There's something about, I mean, one, working for yourself. I did that for a little bit, like my own little side hustle, but working for yourself and working outdoors, like it's an itch.
Man.
I mean, I work inside all day. I work in a restaurant, and I just have that itch. Like sometimes I just want to be outside.
If you're in hardcore, you got to spend some years toiling in the restaurant business. Just how it is.
Yep, typical thing. No, but I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, no, I love it, dude. I don't, it's not something I like do for money at all.
Yeah.
It's just so I just enjoy plants and shit. I have a greenhouse, like a big ass greenhouse full of orchids and like my, stuff that my grandmother like crossbred 20 years ago and stuff like that. So, I mean, the hurricane destroyed pretty much everything, but I'm like slowly building back everything. And I just sold off like all my trees. I have to repot trees. It's just something to do. Like,
I didn't think about the hurricane.
Yeah, I got annihilated.
Really?
Yeah. I got 9 feet of fucking water on the farm, like of salt water. So everything is just died.
Are you close to the coast?
Yeah, I'm right by like Sanibel, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So like right on the west coast in South Florida, kind of like the edge of civilization down there. So the water came in from the Gulf there and just swamped everything. And like luckily I had like a shed and a potting room and stuff like that. The shed never even found the pieces of it. It was just completely gone. The potting room was completely underwater. My grandpa built it in like 1980 or some shit.
Really?
So I redid it all. But the greenhouse the roof was gone. And all the orchids were like these priceless fucking orchids. Were all in like one pile in a corner, and I found like 50% of them, and then most of them died from salt water. It's just what it is. They're sensitive. So
when you saw that hurricane, the path going south, you started shitting yourself?
I mean, I've been through all of them because I grew up in Fort Myers, which has been fucked by every hurricane for the last, since Charlie was really bad. My house got pretty fucked up, and I didn't have power for like a month and a half when I was 9, 10 or something like that. So I grew up every couple of years there'd be a bad hurricane, and we'd have some, it was more just, it's exciting. It's like, driving your bike around all the down power lines and shit when you're a kid. It's just part of being Floridian. But yeah, so I wasn't sweating it. I was like, even when they were driving down the road, I heard it. I was tying up all the trees at my farm to like iron stakes or steel stakes to keep them upright. I didn't even find half of them. They was that fucked. Like they were all gone. Like these big 10-foot trees that are in pots. Like they were just all over the place. But I hear the people going down the street saying like they have like the loudspeaker doing like a message on repeat. Like it's the fucking like in a post-apocalyptic movie, just saying like get the fuck out of here. Like I remember the message. I have it recorded somewhere. Is like. There will be no emergency services after X amount. It was like the Purge. It was like, they were like, we're not coming to get you. If you stay here, you're going to die.
That's so funny.
So I moved, I went to like Estero, Florida, which is a little bit more inland, like the spot I went to. And that got flooded too. It got fucked. My car was underwater. So.
Yeah, I think the out-of-towners, the people that aren't from Florida, kind of hype up the hurricanes, but at the same time, it's fucking nuts.
Ian was like 1 in a million, we hadn't had anything like that since like Andrew, like 95 before I was born,
Ian was the one in 20...
That was the most recent one.
Yeah,
that was the really bad one, What
was the one in like 2017?
Irma. That was pretty fucked up, but I was living in Tampa, and I drove down to Fort Myers. I made a fucking ton of money doing tree work.
Really?
So... It wasn't like, I don't think a lot of people died. Like people didn't die. I'm sure some people died, but Ian, people fucking died.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, they were pulling. I went into structures that I thought I was going to find dead bodies in. Like while I was in vet, like while afterwards, we were just driving around. It was like, dude, it was like the apocalypse. We were driving around for like 2 weeks afterwards, just like checking on houses and stuff like that. And you just seeing stuff like houses burnt to the ground.
Oh, yeah.
Because of all the fires and like gas lines and stuff like that. Like it was fucking chaos. The lights didn't work for like 2 weeks.
Yep. I was visiting up in Michigan, and I flew back to Florida just in time to be here for the hurricane.
Yeah.
So I got back, power went out like the next day, generator, rain.
It's exciting.
Yeah. And it was supposed to hit us, and then it wasn't, and then it hit Fort Myers, but then it came up like inland, right? Like
you guys, Tampa got a little bit, got a degree of it.
This side of it did, but it wasn't too bad.
Fort Myers, the neighborhood I live in now is still fucked. Everything's still abandoned and destroyed.
Yeah,
and it wasn't like that at all before. Like everything was really old. It's like the neighborhood I kind of grew up in, and now like everything is just decimated. Like I live between like 20 trailer parks, and they're all just completely leveled.
Yep.
Still, like everybody's homeless. There's homeless people everywhere because they lived in trailers that were uninsured and they were like 80 years old and shit. So there's just these old homeless people walking around everywhere. It's fucked up, dude.
That's so sad.
It's crazy.
What's fucked up, I have a friend that she's from down there, and then they got the news about the hurricane coming to Tampa. She went back down there to be with her family.
Yeah.
And she almost died.
I thought I was going to die 100%, dude. My girlfriend had to like calm me down, dude. I was like, yeah, it was bad, dude. I thought the roof was coming off, you know. And the water started coming in, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna fucking drown. And I'm like seeing the last of the, because once the cell phone towers go down, it isn't even like you can't see anything, which is the scariest part as a fucking person in 2023 is like being in the middle of that and having no access to like emergency services or anything.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty bad. I mean, I didn't get it that bad, but like compared to some people, but like it was scary shit.
Yeah. You start thinking about like. Do you think that was bad? Think about like Katrina back
Yeah,
then.
no, for real. Yeah, that's scary shit. Like when they actually don't give a fuck about you.
Yeah,
it's a poor area.
Your house isn't blown away. Your house is sunk.
I stayed in a mansion during Ian because a doctor friend of mine was like, "Oh, I'm leaving town. You want to stay in my house?" He's like, "You shouldn't stay here at all. You're gonna die." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm from here though. It's different, dude. Come on."
Yeah.
And I stayed in his place, and then the water started coming in, and I was like, "Oh, I never even thought about the water. I was thinking about my house blowing away." Mm-hmm. So I wanted to stay in his concrete mansion. And then I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna drown in this really nice house. All the windows are caving in and shit. Like they're breaking, the glass is shattering. Like
from like branches and shit.
No, it's the wind."
Oh man.
Yeah, dude. I have this crazy video I'll show you later on. But there's a sliding glass door in his house, and it's shattered, but it was shatterproof glass, and you can see the air pressure outside and inside just flexing the door like 10 inches in both directions, and the fucking like broken glass is just flexing in and out, and the water's coming up on it like an aquarium. I looked outside right before the windows broke. We had to get away from them and shit and go upstairs. But my car is just under my truck. I just fucking bought it underwater, and I'm like, God damn it! I should have gotten the big redneck lift kit. I would have been fine.
Oh,
and then afterwards, the next morning, I mean, there's helicopters landing in the neighborhood, escorting people out. There's swamp buggies driving through the streets, boats going through the fucking streets of this neighborhood, in this rich neighborhood. All the rich people are walking around with guns because they're like convinced they're gonna get looted because they're just fucking crazy Floridians.
Yeah. That's a valid concern.
Yeah, I mean, not in this place because it's like in a fancy, rich neighborhood that you couldn't get in or out of because the beginning of the entrance to the neighborhood was still 8 feet underwater the next day. So me and my girlfriend swam out to get picked up by a friend of ours because our vehicles are destroyed.
I can't even
crazy. I took a kayak and kayaked the whole like neighborhood, and there's no differentiation between the street and the like lake in the center, the retention pond in the middle of the neighborhood.
That's
You're just going in between houses. This guy came over and he's like, yeah, man, my Porsche got picked up out of the driveway and sunk in the retention pond.
I can't.
So it was interesting,
that.
yeah, being with a bunch of rich people.
Only in Florida, like you wouldn't get that anywhere else.
No, yeah, it's
crazy.
truly a microcosm of just fucking insanity.
Yeah, I'd be thinking back to like all the TV shows I watched when I was a kid. Like, here's what you do in a hurricane.
Yeah,
like this, that, like fucking get out on the roof.
Yeah, everyone you drive past has a big sign. Like the shittiest trailer in town has a big card, like a plywood sign outside that says "We shoot," like fucking looters, and they're standing outside with their guns and shit. And I'm like, nobody's taking your shit, dude. Calm down.
That's funny. Yeah, I thought it was nuts when I drove around here. And just looked at all the brush covering the streets. Like the streets were green. I was like, oh man, this hurricane shit's wild.
Yeah. That shit's fine. Yeah, brush is what. Yeah, like it's when you see the destroyed pieces of houses and shit. That,
I was like, whoo, that was a rough hurricane.
When I was in the tree game doing like hauling and stuff like that, I would see brush on the side of the road and be like, this is fucking money.
Yeah, yep. It's funny you say that. My cousin started a tree business, and that's how it started.
Yeah.
One bad windstorm, brush everywhere.
Man, you make a killing. Yeah, if you have a truck.
Yeah, no,
I would borrow trucks back in the day when I didn't have one, and I'd just be like, I'd hit somebody, let me borrow your truck for the day, dude. I'll give you fucking $1,000. It's just that, I don't have. We got to make this work. Get a strike now.
Yeah, that's exactly what he did, and then now 10 years later, that's his business, and he's got employees.
Nobody wants to do that shit, so you can make a lot of money off it if you do. If you're like a guy with a chainsaw and a truck.
Yeah.
Which you should be if you live in Florida.
Absolutely. Yeah, all right, let's see.
I deviated so much from your questions. I'm sorry, bro.
No, it's fine. I'm here with you.
We can hit some of the...
I have ADD pretty bad.
Oh, me too, man. I'm unmedicated as fuck.
we go down a path.
We're a
I'm
bad
just
combo
like,
on that. I haven't taken Adderall since 6th grade.
Really?
I should be, but I don't. So
I had ADD when I was a kid, and I took something, I don't know what, but
probably Ritalin back in the day. Or
I felt like a zombie.
yeah, I felt the same way on like Adderall. You get really. I just hate being reliant on anything. Like I try not to take any medication.
Agreed.
Not beyond just being straight edge. It's just like I hate like the idea that oh shit, my prescription's out now I got to deal with withdrawals for 2 weeks. Like
Yep.
I just hate being reliant on anything.
I completely agree.
So-
I try to avoid taking even like Tylenol, Motrin.
Me too. Yeah, my friends make fun of me. Like I was on the Appalachian Trail with Lucas, and I woke up one morning and my legs wouldn't move because we had just been hauling 50-pound packs
Yeah.
up in the mountains.
Yeah.
Lucas from Contention, and he's like, he takes some Excedrin, and I'm like, what is that? And he's like, you never taken fucking Excedrin, dude? I'm like, I don't know, dude. Like I didn't grow up in one of those households
Yeah.
that took stuff like that.
I wrecked my dirt bike up in Ocala, broke my arm and my collarbone.
Yeah.
And I wrecked on a Monday and got surgery on a Friday. So I went like a whole week with it being broken.
The
just
clavicle
like-
surgery?
Yeah.
Fuck,
I got a
yeah.
plate in here, but
Fuck.
I had never taken Tylenol before, and that's all I took
Yeah.
during that time and after surgery is like Tylenol. I got off the surgery and they gave me painkillers and they got me like
Yeah.
gassed up, and I was like, holy shit, I see why
They
people
give you like
get addicted.
tramadol and hydromorphone and stuff. Yeah, so I every surgery, I've only had a few surgeries and stuff like that, but like wisdom teeth and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then after the crash in Texas, I was really fucked up, and I'm still really fucked up. But
I was gonna ask you any lasting like injuries
yeah, dude,
and stuff?
I'm sure Lucas is fucked up from it too. But yeah, I don't know, my back is like destroyed. It sucks, dude. But
Just to get like paint a picture, who was in the car and like where were you guys?
I was driving.
Oh,
so
no.
I mean, we were, yeah. So I mean, it was like a fucking. We all went everywhere in the van,
Yeah, of
like we're
course.
all like even with seatbelts on, like we ended up in different positions because we flipped like 6 to 8 times.
Yeah.
it was just rolling and rolling and rolling like a ridiculous amount of times, like enough time for me to be like I had totally accepted death.
Oh,
right
yeah.
away. I was like, all right, fuck it, dude. I'm just hoping it would end soon because it was so like upsetting to be flipping over and over again. I'm just waiting to black out.
You're rolling for like 20 seconds.
Yeah,
straight.
so I smashed my head pretty, like all of us hit our heads and stuff like that. I had a concussion and I have like a bunch of fucked up discs and shit, like, just no fun. Yeah. So they try to give me all kinds of opiates and stuff. I've never taken, even when I, would fuck around with like, just experimenting with drugs and shit when I was younger, I never took opiates or whatever just because I knew it's if you grew up in Florida or anywhere really,
It's a slippery
you
slope.
know some people that have died from it. So I was just
yeah.
like, dude, I don't even give a shit if it's tramadol. I won't take anything.
Yep.
So that's kind of still how I feel. I'm just more afraid of it than anything. I'm like, I'll probably like it too much. So
Same.
I make do with just like, they give me meloxicam, like anti-inflammatories is what I take,
Yeah.
but they're always like, listen, dude, you're fucked up. You can take, it's okay. You can take hydrocodone. And I'm like, nah, dude, I just don't want to risk it.
Yeah.
Even if I try to be responsible, I've got an addictive personality for sure. So
I don't, but when I took that painkiller after the surgery, I was like, fuck, this feels kind of good.
Yeah, I
And
know
then
what you
had
mean, yeah.
First day I dropped it, I was like, fuck, this is too good. I threw them away.
yeah, it's scary. I have one bottle of it in my house because I'm just
Yeah.
like, all right, if I ever end up in a really fucked up situation or I can't move, I'll have it just in case.
Yeah.
But I've never cracked it open just because it's too scary. Even though it's the weakest shit, it's like
Yeah.
it's like 20 milligrams or something, But
So okay, you're suffering from back issues. Are you taking it easy in any way, or are you just
no, not at all.
powering through
No,
it?
I'm supposed to. Yeah. Yeah, if the lawyers ask, I'm 100% taking it easy. I'm hoping
Yeah,
they don't
yeah.
see this shit.
We won't
I'm
show
supposed to be not doing anything at all. I'm like, yo, so where can I like lift weights again? What can I do? They're like, you can't do that ever again. What are you talking about? If you get if they take a picture of you lifting weights, we're gonna lose everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, whatever.
Yeah. So they did surgery. They like put.
I didn't have back surgery. They pushed for it really hard.
Okay.
And I got like 2 or 3 opinions because it's scary as fuck, dude. My mom's had back surgery and like
yeah.
it's no joke, dude. Like you're out for such a long time.
You fuse discs, you'll never be the same.
Yeah, so they kept pushing me really hard for it, and I was like, I got a second opinion. The dude's like, please God, don't do this. Like these people are quacks. So I listened to that dude, and I just didn't do it. So
Yep.
I've accepted. I'm just you can do like I do stretches and shit like that, and some stuff helps. So it's whatever, dude.
You got to be better off than you would have been with surgeries.
Yeah, I do. I've read so much, seen so many like documentaries, and read so many books and stuff about like the opiate crisis. It's just like a personal fascination of mine, and every story, like every every story in there starts with somebody getting a back issue and then getting hooked on fucking, and it's just like the classic, I just don't,
It makes me think of like pro wrestlers.
Yeah, dude, there's no way you're coming out of that
Every
unscathed.
pro wrestler has gotten a back surgery, gotten addicted to drugs,
Yeah.
and then like lost a bunch of mobility.
Yeah, the chronic pain stuff is just, I don't know. I mean, it'll get worse. I'll be more and more fucked up as I get older, but like, I'll do whatever I have to do that's not drugs,
Yeah, and hopefully technology goes somewhere and you can like,
Yeah.
you can get a better fix than fusing
Yeah, we'll get
discs
some
and-
alien technology that'll replace my spine.
Yeah.
I'm hoping.
I've seen like, I don't know if it can't be ceramic, but like some kind of like full disc replacement.
Yeah,
stuff.
discectomy, whatever the fuck. They wanted me to do a discectomy with like a partial prosthesis.
Yeah.
And the dude was like, the dude who gave me the second opinion was like, dude, if you get this, you're going to have to get it replaced every like 10 to 15 years. And you're 26 years old.
Yeah.
You're going to have to do this until you fucking die. You're going to have to do it like 6 times. And every time you do it, you're going to risk getting a back infection that'll paralyze you.
Yeah.
So don't fucking do this, dude. He's like, do it when you're 70 and you can't move, and you have to get it maybe one more time before you die. He's like, don't start getting on a cycle of surgery.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So what surgeries did you have to get?
nothing for that.
Really?
Yeah, nothing. I mean, yeah, like I said, I'm supposed to,
Oh, holy shit.
but nothing for that, dude. I can't even. Oh, yeah. I maybe eventually, but for right now,
Well, and you were in the driver's seat, so did you get it like, I mean, I don't want to say the worst because everybody was in the truck, but, or in the car or whatever.
I don't know. I think I'm like a lanky dude who's like, tall people are like prone to back problems to
Yeah.
begin with. Like Josh is like shredded, he's huge.
Yeah.
So I think people who are just in good
I've
shape.
seen pics of him from back in the day.
Yeah, he's a massive dude. I think it's partially just something to do with like biology and like your anatomy and stuff like that. For whatever reason, I got folded in half and my spine got broken. I don't know everybody else. Chase he got fucked up too. Lucas we all had issues. Like Josh walked away from it, I think, pretty fine. David was pretty okay.
That's like the worst case scenario. I wanted to talk to you about van crashes this year.
It was Year of the Knife this year?
Year of
That
the
the big
Knife.
one? Yeah.
Right
Scary
before
shit,
Year of
dude.
the Knife was Varials.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I played some shows with them back in the day. They're nice dudes.
Yeah, Mitch got fucked up. I think he missed a tour.
Okay, yeah.
And then right after Year of the Knife, I think Koyo got into a crash.
Shit, I vaguely remember that, yeah. Scary
Yeah.
shit, dude. I mean, driving in America. Oh, dude, some crazy shit. I just like a crazy synchro mysticism type thing that just happened to me. A couple days ago, I was rereading a book that I hadn't read in a long time, like On the Road by Jack Kerouac. And there's a part in the middle of the book that I never caught when I read it when I was younger, where the dude's driving in Beaumont, Texas, and gets in a crash or like an accident with a wrong way drunk driver.
Yeah,
And the crash we got into was in Beaumont, Texas. Isn't
No
that
way.
fucking crazy?
Same.
It blew. I was reading it, and I read it like 10 times. I was like, what the fuck, dude? What kind of... This is written obviously 60, 70 years ago.
Yeah.
But just very fucking weird.
But that's the same situation.
Yeah, it was the exact same situation. Drunk driver driving the wrong way. He went up the fucking exit ramp wrong and hit us head on, going like 80 miles an hour.
You should, well, you said it was a long time ago, but if the author was still alive, maybe reach out to him and get some answers.
Right,
there.
yeah. No, he died in like the 90s or some shit.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe before that, I don't know. All those like beat poets died a long time ago. But
That's fucked up.
yeah, crazy shit, man. But it just
Yeah.
brought that to mind. But yeah, I mean, it's scary, dude, being in a band. We won't do overnight drives if we can help it. Now we have since, but we try not to. I did a fucking overnight drive from just with Lucas, and we were sick as fuck driving from Berlin to Paris overnight
Really?
to return a van, or else we were going to get charged for like another week or something if we didn't return it. And we got into Paris and sat in traffic for like 4 hours, but it was like I don't know, 8 to 12 hour trip or something like
Yeah.
that, and it was fucking brutal, dude. We were falling asleep at the wheel, like
I've been there.
it sucked. We were so sick. I'm pretty sure we all had COVID at the end of the European tour, but we didn't test for it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
We were just like, we have to get home, dude.
There's so many times where I was like sick and I'm like, I don't want to test for COVID because I don't want to know.
I'm confirmed had it 4 times.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I work, sometimes I don't interact with patients a lot. I do like, I'm in like respiratory medication.
Yeah.
So I do see people who have COVID, and there's just, you can mask up and shit, but like
Yep.
you can still get it from them. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I did one of those gnarly overnight drives once. Right after I got better from the surgery, actually, I drove up to South Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina, to see Kublai Khan.
Yeah.
My girlfriend at the time happened to live there.
It's a cool town.
So Yeah, we did that. Hung out there for a couple days, and then I saw Kublai Khan, Koyo. Ah, shit. Who else? It was a tour they were doing. I forgot
Yeah,
who else. Bunch
Koyo's
of good
sick.
bands. After the show, I drive directly back to Tampa because I got to get on a plane in the morning. And it's one of those drives where you're falling asleep behind the wheel.
Please God, let me get. Yeah, you like start getting religious and shit.
I drove from Orlando to Tampa with my head out the window so that I didn't fall
Dude,
asleep.
100%. You're like fucking wake the fuck up.
I got like a
Yeah.
floor full of Red Bulls over here, like
Yeah.
crushed Red Bulls, and like my head sticking out the window.
I've done that so many times. Yeah, I mean, if that happens on tour, if I am responsible for like 9 lives, we're gonna pull over.
Yeah.
But by myself, I've taken some unnecessary risks for sure.
Yep. Every time I pulled over, I tried to fall asleep, and then my anxiety got me like, shit, I need to go.
Yeah, no, me and Lucas making that drive from, and we're in Europe too, which it is the same side of the road and same side of the car in mainland Europe. In England, everything's ass backwards.
Right.
But so at least we could drive normally. But there are things that you don't like. There are signs in German. You don't know what the fuck's going on always.
Yeah, you can't just talk to
And I had to
anyone.
get right on a flight. I barely made it, dude. I got there and I had a guitar because I brought my bass for the tour. And I had to like run across the airport, and they're like, "No, the base is too big. You have to bring it to the other side of Charles de Gaulle Airport." I'm like, "Motherfucker!" So made it to like, because I was staying in Europe an extra week, so I had to get a flight back to Berlin to meet a buddy. So
Oh, man.
it was stressful as fuck, but I love it. That's the best,
Traveling in Europe is terrifying.
dude. It's honestly better than America.
Is it?
Like it's less, it's cheaper and it's less stressful in my opinion. I just put myself in stupid situations like that.
Yeah, I guess for me, the thing that scares me is the language barrier.
Oh, they all speak English. Everyone in the
Yeah.
fucking continent speaks English, unless you're in Slovakia, and they probably still speak it there too. But in France, they pretend like they don't know how to speak it.
Yeah, but that's France.
Yeah, yeah.
France has a reputation.
Everybody was a fucking prick. The hardcore people were great.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, people off the street are like, "Get the fucking Americans,"
Yeah.
It's just what it is. They pretend not to speak English to you.
Didn't the French give us the Statue of Liberty?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, what are they mad about?
yeah. They gave us whatever. Yeah.
That's funny. I was gonna ask you something. I
No,
lost
yeah.
my train of thought.
Let's get down the list.
Yeah. All right. Well, we kind of hit.
We should have hit some
crazy-
Adderall before this, man.
Yeah.
Broke edge.
Dude, I'm all over the place. I was up at 6 a.m. today. So
Nah, I got up at like 9, but but I did work all morning, so I'm pretty fucking tired.
So future of Contention. What's coming up?
We have an LP done. It's just taken so long. We were supposed to have it done forever ago, but we right before this, I just sent in like the final mix notes to the dude, to John Howard, who's been a trooper through all the changes. I mean, we didn't make that many changes compared to the past, but we have been like, "Yo, can you change this and this and this?" It's just how it goes. There's a little bit of
Yeah.
back and forth, so that's finally done. We had to wait for guest vocalists to finish their parts.
Ooh, that's exciting.
Yeah, so the dude from Broken Vow, my buddy Tommy, did a spot. I did a spot on their record, and then Tyler from Inclination, and
Ooh.
yeah, great, really nice dude. And Alex from Domain.
Cool.
So we had to get their 3 parts done. That was the last piece of the puzzle, so we can finally send this shit to Days
Yeah.
and get the record out. I mean, who knows when it'll actually be out, because there's always a gap, but
That's
I can
exciting.
finally rest at night knowing that it's done.
Is it gonna sound? I don't want to say is it gonna sound the same as the shit before.
There's like
'cause
some
obviously
surprises.
not,
There's a
but-
little bit of melody, which
Okay.
is, not what we've done in the past. I mean, there's a little bit of it. Like we have a
Yeah.
few like melodic-y riffs, but yeah, there's a little bit more of that. We don't sing. I mean, I'm not singing
Yeah,
on
of
the fucking
course.
record, but there's no poison the well type shit.
Yeah, that's exciting.
I would do it, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm stoked for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's heavy. It's so, there's 3 or 4 that are songs on there that are some of my favorite songs that we've done. So
Yeah, I have a feeling. How many songs is it?
10,
10.
I think.
Okay.
2 of them are redone. 3 of them are redone.
Okay.
Which nobody's heard. Chasm, we put on a comp, so we redid that one. You heard that one?
Today I was listening to Contention, and when you search Contention on Spotify, it's not there.
No,
but-
that's why. If you look at my, it's like the lowest on the Spotify list when I look at it.
Yeah, but if you like when the album ends and it goes to like suggested stuff,
Oh,
it
okay.
popped up in that somehow.
Yeah,
But it's unsearchable, so I listened to it. And I was like, what the fuck is this?
yeah, it's a secret track. So we redid that for the record, and we redid "Inflict My Will" and "Revenge Directive" just because they weren't on any physical releases, and they're our most popular songs.
Inflict My Will is one of my favorites.
Thank you, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's-
love the breakdown. Like I can. say it's awesome because I didn't write any of it except the lyrics.
The intro, I love the intro.
Yeah, man.
Like it's so recognizable.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
it
like-
plays in my fucking head at all times because
Yeah.
I've heard it so many times. But yeah. So I like take really long periods of not listening to my own music. So then I listen to it back and I'm like, oh, this part's dope. I forgot about this.
Yeah, I've always been curious to people that tour all the time. Like, you gotta get sick of hearing your own stuff.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I never get sick of playing it. I got, it's the worst part's when you get sick of new shit that hasn't come out yet. Like, I'm kind of sick of the LP.
Yeah.
I'm not sick of it, but I've listened to it a lot of times trying to
Yeah.
get, like, the mixing right, like, the mixes right, what I want right. So,
But that's how I am. Something good comes out and it's just on repeat until I can't stand it.
same, dude. I do the exact same thing all the time. My girlfriend hates it.
I discover a new band and that's what
Yeah,
I'm
I'll listen
listening
to the same record over and over. I listen to that, like, yeah, I just get hung up on records. I'll listen to the same Morrissey record, like, the same Smiths record, the same, like, just over and over and over again until, yeah.
Every now and then I'll find it like a new hardcore band I like with only one project out.
Yeah.
And that's what
That's
really
the worst.
sucks. 'cause
Yeah.
then that's their only shit. That's
Yeah, when
out.
that Inclination EP came out and there was nothing, I burned that out so hard back in like
Yeah.
2016 or whatever.
Yep. Yeah, that's
But yeah, we've gotten some crazy offers. I wish we could do everything. I wish we could play the whole fucking world. But being realistic, we'll do as much touring as we can, all things considered. But obviously, we got to play the LP songs. We haven't played any of them yet.
Yeah.
We intro with the intro to the record. So if you've seen us in the last like few shows, we do this like crazy melodic intro that doesn't sound like us at all. But that's because it's on the new record.
So do you know where your first show will be after that? After it comes out?
No, because I don't know when it comes out yet, to be fair.
True.
We do have a show January in Tampa, I think, with
Okay.
Domain. Eyes Wide Shut, I think. I think Dogmatic's playing.
I'll try and make it to that.
Yeah, man, that'll be fun. I don't even know where it is, to be honest with you. Now that I think about it, Josh is the one I'm sure who booked it. But
Right.
yeah, I think that's the only thing on the books. I think we might have a tour. I mean, it might be non-existent by the time this comes out, but
Yeah.
in February or March or something like that, I
Okay.
think we might be doing something up north.
Yeah.
I don't know. We have to get to California. It's my main concern.
California would go nuts. Is there a big straight edge community out there?
I'm sure there is. I mean,
There's got to be, right?
yeah, I'm trying to think of bands, but yeah, I'm sure there is, yeah.
Every time I think of California, I think of like drugs and sunshine.
The California sober. Like the most sober you get there is still smoking weed.
Yeah, yeah. So, no, it's got to exist.
Yeah, I'm sure it exists. I'm sure there. I mean, LA I know has one, and like down south, I'm sure they have some too.
Yeah.
I don't know much about California.
Yeah, I don't know. I think everyone's just smoking weed and saying they
I think
don't.
so. Yeah. Living intense.
Yeah. All right, let's get into the question.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
question
yeah.
we talked about. Are you a voluntary skinhead or an involuntary skinhead?
Oh, bro, it's it's involuntary. It's 100% God's decision, not mine.
So the skinhead life chose you.
Yeah. I realize now that I'm wearing boots and shit today, and I've got
Yup.
a green fucking bomber jacket on. I'm looking a little more skinheady than normal. But no, yeah, I got a fresh shave on today. I usually most days, I got a fresh shave on. But yeah, it's all gone.
Yep.
It's the chemicals in the water and shit,
Oh, it's got to be. My plan is I don't plan on keeping this forever, even if it wants to stay. I think by 30 it's gone.
I hope you get to, man. I still might go to Turkey one of these days. I told Dave McNeil I'll pay for half of it if he'll go with me. Crazy Dave, he's also bald.
Yeah.
I told him if we go to Turkey together, I'll pay for half of his because I need somebody to go with me.
That's
So.
funny. Yeah. All right. Well, I don't know how long we've been going for, but this was
Yeah,
It's
I
a
got to
good
make
time.
it to the Armageddon Records office party.
I don't want to hold you up.
No, it's all right. We're doing Secret Santa, so
Fuck
it's
yeah.
important that I get there with my presents.
That's
for
important
people.
shit. You can't miss
Yeah,
that.
obviously. I figured that would be the next time I was going to be up here, so that's why I tried to schedule it this way.
Yeah. I'm glad that you could do this. I'm super happy to have you here. I said it to Josh, but someone as prestigious as you is like an honor to have. A sit
Thanks,
down
man.
with,
I mean,
so.
it's hardcore. I'll talk to anybody. I mean, it's just I'm so happy that there's people doing stuff like this now, like a
Yeah.
podcast. There's 10 years ago or whatever, 8 years ago in Tampa, it's just there was nothing like this. Nobody's talking about Tampa hardcore. Nobody gave a shit. There was no bands besides the ones that me and Josh were in,
Right.
maybe some others. So now we have all these people booking shows. We've got people doing zines. People have interviewed me for like a few zines.
Mm-hmm.
There's like the podcast. I think I think Josh White might have a podcast or something too. So
Uh-huh.
it's sick. It's like it's all features of like a thriving fucking scene ecosystem. So
Yep.
thanks for having me, man. This is
Yeah,
cool.
I'm so glad you're here. Cool.
Glad to be here, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you.